Well, hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 3 of Just Ask Jen Live. I'm super excited tonight to answer a few questions that have been submitted from champion educators from around the states, around the globe. In fact, some things I'm going to answer today. So I'm super excited for you to join me. If this is your first time tuning in and you've just stumbled across this video, my name is Jennifer Hall and I'm an educational technology specialist here in Atlanta, and I support teachers as they plan educationally instructional lessons using instructional technology and working on supporting students to be college and career ready. So it's a little bit about me. I'm super glad that you're here, and thank you so much for your time. So let me know who's tuning in. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop it in the chat. And if you have a question, I am answering them live. I've had some that have already been submitted, but I'd love for you to drop some questions in. Just put in hashtag ask, and I know that it's something I need to address and answer. So awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So this is the third episode, and each time it's kind of a lot of fun just answering those questions that are submitted. It's very informal. I've put together a couple of things to highlight based on some questions that have come in. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you, Stacy, for tuning in from Montgomery, Alabama. I appreciate you being here. Oh, look at this. Hey, Kristen from New York. Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any specific questions, please just drop in there with hashtag ask. I'm watching those comments as they come in. So let's go ahead and dive in with a couple of things that I get asked a lot. I see we got Tampa, Florida represented. Awesome. So the one place in the country right now that's not freezing, that would be down in Tampa. All right. So one of the big questions I get asked all the time is, so Jen, I'm planning a lesson, and which of the awesome Google tools should I use? Should I use drawings? Should I use slides? Should I use Jamboard? And a lot of times it's why use drawings over slides? And now that Jamboard's in the mix, how does that work? How does that compare? So awesome. Thank you so much, Delina, for tuning in from Arkansas. I appreciate that. So I put together this graphic last week. It was because I get that question a lot. And I also created a video where I shared out and highlighted the similarities and the differences. But I just wanted to kind of talk about some of those things when I get asked that question, what I ask teachers. So when you're planning a lesson and you're thinking, well, which one should I use? There's a lot of functionality that all three of them have. Jamboard, slides, and drawings allow you to collaborate. So that's number one thing, especially working virtual. You want to be able to have students that can collaborate on tasks. So that's one of the big things. All of them allow you to add in shapes, which is great. And now that Jamboard's added the functionality to do a custom background, all of them allowed you to upload an image as a background so students can't manipulate it, and then you can create your activity. So those are all great options. Now, why would you pick one over the other? Obviously, slides has that linear look where you're going to have all these different pages, and so you can have students on multiple pages, or they each have their own individual page. That's great. Or if you're talking about, oh, thank you so much, Wyoming. I appreciate you tuning in. So if we're talking about slides, I can assign each student a slide number. You're going to be on slide 1, 2, 3, so forth. And then you can collaborate that way and assign them slide numbers. And you can have, I say, an unlimited number of slides. Obviously, you're not going to put 1,000 in a slide deck, but you can have 100 if you had 100 students actually working on a task. But if you wanted to limit the number of pages, then you're looking at Jamboard. Jamboard only allows 20 frames. And so that's something to consider. There's a max number of frames. So keep that in mind. The other thing is there's a max number of collaborators. So slides, you can have a whole class, or you could actually have 4 groups working on it, 4 classes contributing. It's going to get clunky the more people you have on it, but there is a max number of participants to get on a Jamboard. You can also share out Google Drawings, and you can have multiple people on that as well. So those, again, something to consider. There's limited shapes, so if you want to have a forced choice for an activity, that works out really well. But if you want them to have more flexibility, then Drawings is one of my absolute favorite tools. And I'm going to show you why in a minute and how I use it so much. And I use it pretty much on a daily basis. But you have to consider, do you want students to have one page, one canvas to look at? Then Drawings is a good option for drag and drop activities, or they're focusing on that one page collectively or individually for a task. Slides, on the other hand, even if you only had one page, you've got that menu bar on the side, and so you lose a lot of real estate. So again, something to consider. The one that I consider slides to be the Swiss Army knife of tools, and so that's always, a great use for so many different activities. But you might want to think about the fact that you can add in video and audio and slides. So if that's something you need or you want your students to do for their activity, then you might want to lean towards slides. So I always tell people, don't say, oh, it's only slides, it's only drawings, it's only Jamboard. But really, it's about what is the goal? What is the task that you have in mind for the students? What do you want them to accomplish? Then you choose the tool. So the other thing that I like about drawings is the fact that it does show you it's a transparent background. If you're designing something, it's got that checkerboard pattern on the back. You can, so you're working on a transparent background, versus in slides, you can't see that as easily. So I do want to point out a couple of those things. This graphic is, I'm going to drop the link to this graphic here. So if anyone wants to check it out, so you had that same question, you can take a look at that, and that will let you see, you can kind of decide which one will work. So I'm just curious, in the chat, let me know, which of the tools do you use most often? Are you a Jamboard fan? Or you use drawings? Or have you you're old school, you're just going to stick with slides and it's the Swiss Army knife, you can use it for all the activities you come up with? Just curious which of the tools you're using most frequently. But that is a popular question, and again, going back to what is the goal, what do you want students to be able to do? So a big question I got today was this last week, I got it from a couple of people, was, so Jen, I'm signed up to your Tech Tips 411 email, and I love the tips. How do you create that? So if you're not signed up for my Tech Tips, which is really cool, you can actually sign up here. You can get the 411 by just clicking on this link right here, and I'm going to drop that in the chat too in case anyone is not signed up that's tuned in right now. And you can sign up, just ask for email, first and last name, and then you automatically get my weekly email that goes out on every Tuesday. I send that out. Now, I started that, just a little history. When I started my job, I started doing a weekly email to my teachers, and I had some friends that were like, oh, you post on your website. That's great. Can we sign up so we get alerted? Like, we won't be on the email list. So I said, well, I can do that. So I use a tool. I use Mailchimp to be able to send it out to teachers. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about that, because I had a couple of questions on that workflow and what that looks like, because I have a lot of teachers that are really trying to come up with the best ways to communicate with their staff if they're working with multiple schools and so forth. So this works out great for me because I support multiple schools in my district. So I send that email out to them via our work email, and then the people that opt in receive that via Mailchimp. All right, let me see here. Miss Thompson says, I use Jamboard for the first time this week after watching one of your videos. Love it. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. First of all, thanks for watching. And second, I'm thrilled that you were able to use it and were able to use it with your students. I'd love to know what grade, what subject. Let me know. Drop it in the chat. I'd love to know how you used it with your students. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how you actually create my weekly Tech Tips 411. So it's kind of a behind the scenes thing here because that was a popular question. So I hope you'll find this interesting. So step one is obviously creating it. And I mentioned that one of my absolute favorite tools is Google Drawings. So that's actually how I create it. And then I'm going to walk you through the process here real quick. So as you can see, I've got all of them from this year. These are all the issues I've shared out this year. And each year the iteration changes a little bit. I might tweak the template, but what I've done is I've created a template. So I'm going to open up, here was this week's that went out yesterday. And this is the template, and you're like, that's a lot. It's huge. What's great about drawings is I can have this enormous canvas and I can customize it to be any size that I want. So what I've done is I've made a template, and then I just duplicate the template each week, and then I change out each of the elements. So each of these is a different block that I change out based on whether it's the EdTech tip, if it's the Chrome extension or the Google Slides add-on or whatever it is, whatever my favorite thing is that I want to share for that week. And then also a digital resource that I'm trying to highlight for you to explore. So, and then just like the regular extra information, you know, in terms of the apps that I have and then support that I provide to my teachers. So this is the main one. This is what goes out to my teachers. And then what I do is I actually snapshot. Once I've created it here, then I'm going to bring it into Mailchimp. The reason I like to use it in Google Drawings is the fact that I actually can, I'm going to zoom in here, is that I do a little bit of Bitmoji magic where I like to go in and customize the Bitmojis, customize a lot of text. I do a little bit of face swapping, a little bit of Bitmoji surgery on my Genmoji. So if you're not familiar with that, you need to check out, I've got a face swapping tip on how you can make your face match what the tone you're trying to create with your Bitmoji. So as you can see, I have each one of these. So I go through, create these, swap it out, hyperlink everything in here. So everything's got a hyperlink in here. And then the power of Google Drawings is that I can export this as a PNG, a JPEG, and a PDF. So what I do is I export it as a PNG so that I can tweet it out via social media, and I can also post it on my Facebook page. And then I will export the PDF and I will house that on my website. Show you all here real quick. And that goes on my tips page. So if you're not signed up and you just want to explore the tips, you can always check them out here. It says tips at the front and it will show the most recent issue here. And I've loaded that PDF into my website, and you can go through and explore any of those. And what's great is since it's on my website, you can actually go by the archives, and you can also go by categories, like what is it you're looking for. So here's the most recent one posted here. Of course, the internet's on the struggle bus. It's taking a minute to load, but there it is. It lives on my website as a PDF. So that's all well and good. So that's where I house it. But I got to be honest, not a lot of people are going to go right to my website every day on Tuesday to check it out. So then I use the power of Mailchimp and bring it in. So what I do is I actually screenshot each one of these boxes. So you're seeing all of these steps here. And if anybody is a subscriber to the Tech Tips 411, let me know in the chat if you have been a subscriber, or maybe now you're interested in subscribing. I'd love to know that as well. I screenshot each one of these and then I bring it into Mailchimp. And so actually here is the one from this week that just went out. So each one of these is a screenshot, each one of those boxes. That's what makes it easy. Since it's set up as a box, it makes it easy for me to go in and crop this, crop that, crop. Each one of them is a separate box inside of Mailchimp, and I can make it an action item. I can hyperlink. So it makes it really easy for anyone that's reading the email and they go, oh, I want to watch that video that Jen put in there, or, oh, I want to check out that tip. It's automatically hyperlinking to that resource for you to check out, which is pretty cool. So struggle bus internet today, or it's after hours. I don't know. It's loading slowly. So as you can see, I have each of the elements in here and I can drag and drop and reorder things. Now what's great is Mailchimp is free. For the most part, and then when you get a certain number of subscribers, then you might have to upgrade to a paid version. But all you have to do is either one you can import an email list that you've already generated from like a CSV file, or having people opt in has been great because I don't have to manually enter anyone, which is great. Thank you so much. Stacy says, love them. Use many of your tips in my daily that I send out to the staff, giving you all the credit, of course. Oh, thank you. Well, educators are great at borrowing from other educators. Thank you for giving me credit. And if it's helping your staff, that's what the goal is. So thank you so much. And this is still in the struggle bus loading here. Don't know why. I'm going to do a little quick refresh here, see if it'll come up. Gotta love when you go live and the internet wants to be on the creepy crawly for me. Oh, let's see here. It's loading. So now there's other types of email lists like this you can use. I've just used Mailchimp for quite a while. I love that I used to actually put in all of my teachers as well. But I've decided I'll keep my email my teachers separate, so that way when they email me back, it stays in the work email. And this comes from my Tech Tips one. Hey, good to see you, my den friend. Hello, Nicole, subscriber and always helpful tips. Of course. Thank you so much. Good to see you. And I'm glad you find the tips helpful. So I, again, don't know if it's Mailchimp mad at me or what, but as you can see, I add in there we go. I add in each one of these elements and I can add in images. I can reorder it. I can edit it. I can hyperlink it. You can even do a little bit of editing inside of an image. So changing colors, shapes, things like that. It's kind of cool. But that's all it is literally, so if you're a subscriber and you see that image pop up from Mailchimp, it's literally just those 4 boxes with a couple other extra boxes. And I just change that out each week, which is kind of cool. Notice these are all the types of things you can add in there. I just use images. A lot of people actually design their newsletters inside of Mailchimp, because you can add in all of the different elements, like an image, like you can do text, stuff like that. I admit I spend way too much time on the design because I enjoy that, and I like the flexibility of Google Drawings, and I realize that for my workflow that works best. I design it in Google Drawings, tweak it the way I want, and then I can put it wherever I want. Now technically I could use Mailchimp and embed that into my website, but I like the flexibility of using Google Drawings, mostly because I like to be able to do a little bit of face swapping and surgery with Genmoji and customizing images. So you can add in all of these elements, which is really cool. So what I've done is I've created my template, and I just duplicate it again each week and just change out those boxes. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely well worth it to create that custom email that's going to go out to you all. So that's the behind the scenes. And I did think it was interesting that not once but twice last week I got an email that said, "So Jen, how do you create this?" And I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of share behind the scenes. So hopefully you thought that was interesting. Give me a thumbs up if you thought it was kind of cool to see the process and what I do to create what comes into your email box. And again, if you haven't already subscribed, hopefully you will. You'll hop over to Tech Tips 411 and subscribe. And if you want to check out some the archives, I'm going to drop that link right there, and you can get the 411. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right, I'm going to hop over here. I got a couple other things I was going to share here. And I'm watching to see if there's any questions in the chat. If you've got a question, just go ahead and please drop it in the chat, #ask. And I know that you have a question I want to address. I'm curious from you all in your chat. Share your favorite app or tool that you use to engage learners. What are you using right now that you've seen success? Because I'm always wanting to pick people's brains and find out, hey, what are you doing? Maybe there's something that you're using that I should know about. Please let me know. I'm just curious. Drop that in the chat if there's something that you're using that you're like, yes, that is kind of cool. I got lots of thumbs up. Thank you so much. Great question. And I love that it's my friend, P. Nabby. So do I pay for Mailchimp? Not right now. All right. So this is a safe space, right? We're not really out here in the interwebs. I'll share with you. On the free version, you can have up to 2,000 subscribers. I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there close. Soon. Hopefully. Maybe you'll subscribe and I'll get there. And then you have to pay for it a little bit each month. But I mean, 2,000 subscribers. That's why I took my teachers off my list and do that via email and only have people that are outside of my schools that subscribe, which works out really well. By the way, I got to give a shout out since P. Nabby's here. She is the friend that I mentioned that said people might want to subscribe. And so she's the one that told me I should set up a subscribe option on my website. So shout out to that. So thank you so much. I'm watching here. See, I love that we're seeing people that know each other in the chat. Good to see that you all are here. So in the chat, let me know, what are you using that has been engaging your learners, especially during this time with distance learning? I'd also like to know, are you all back to face-to-face? Are you still virtual? How's that working for you with your students? I actually, our students, now we have students from all grade levels have made it back in APS. Our 6th through 12th graders started back this week. I'm still hanging out via Zoom and connecting with teachers that way. I love that you don't remember that you told me I need to set it up so people can subscribe. You are hilarious. And thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. All right. So, couple other questions that I wanted to address, things I wanted to share. We just went 100% virtual. So that means you've switched back. Interesting, Stacy. That's interesting. So you were face-to-face and then you've had to go virtual. That's interesting. We were 100% virtual until this week. We had some students, but we don't have a ton of students. We have students that opted to go in, and then we have teachers that are teaching simultaneously. So for the most part, they've got most of their kids via Zoom, and they've got a handful of students in the classroom, and by school it just kind of varies for us right now. Let's see here. We've been face-to-face all year. Wow. Colleen, wow. Let me know Colleen, where'd you say you're from? That's amazing. And I'm hoping everybody's been safe, because that is definitely a challenge right there. Let's see here. I got, let's see, we go back March 1st, Shelly. Oh, wow. Okay. That's after everybody thaws out, in Wisconsin right there. Cause right now everybody's little, in their igloos because it's frozen tundra up there right now. Let's see, I got here. Lily says, I discovered Flipgrid a couple years ago and use it for multiple things. I've seen that Flipgrid is definitely one of the best tools that you can utilize for leveling up engagement, but also it really helps with students that are reticent to converse, because it's hard for them to speak up, especially if you're virtual. And I think that's great. I'm super excited. I'm planning a lesson with 6th grade science. Their I can talk today, meteorology unit. We're going to have students be meteorologists, and we're going to use Flipgrid, because normally I did the project last year and I brought in green screens and iPads and all of that when we were face to face, and they got to do all of that. But we're going to use the hack of using Flipgrid and the side-by-side feature, the split screen in Flipgrid, and the students are going to be able to create their own weather reports. So I'm super excited right now. Let's see here. I got Gillette one on me. If someone is quarantined, they can join through Zoom. Okay, gotcha. So you're face to face, but if someone has to be home, you're offering that virtual support. Awesome. I see that. Oh, geez, it was 20 degrees. Guess what? It was just a little bit warmer here. It was a balmy 24 degrees here in Tucker first thing this morning. Oh my goodness. I see Stacy. I will one up that. I agree. +1 it with that Flipgrid is up their game. Yes, they have added the new frames features, the stickers, the screen recording feature. If you're not using Flipgrid, that's one of the best things you can do with Flipgrid, is you can actually have students screen record and talk through their thinking as well. So great for presentations. I wish I'd had that when I was an ELA teacher, because I would have been like, I don't have to have every student do their presentation live. They get to that practice, that rehearsal, and they could choose to submit their product and their presentation. I think that's awesome. All right, let's see here. I've got a little bit of face-to-face and some virtual. And Nicole, you said y'all been using Jamboard, Smart Learning Suite, and Flipgrid. Awesome. So I took a look. So Smart Learning Suite is a smart product. I took a look at that. I've heard a lot of good things. Jamboard has been off the charts. Another one, if you're not using it yet, and I would highly recommend it, is Whiteboard Chat. And Whiteboard Chat is like Jamboard on steroids, because it has, like, I love Jamboard because it's integration. It's a Google tool, and so it has that single sign-on. It's part of that. It lives in your Google Drive and a lot of that functionality. And I want to share about real quick good news today that was shared coming in Google in Jamboard. One of the new updates is going to be revision history, and that's one of the things teachers were frustrated with, is the fact that you couldn't see who made changes and whatnot. So that's coming. They announced that. Google announced that today, so that's really cool. But there's some limitations on what you can do with Jamboard. So it's used for a specific type of activity. But if you're really wanting to level up with a whiteboard that has so much functionality, you want to definitely check out whiteboard.chat. They keep getting better and better. It's a completely free tool. It allows you to share a board. And I've talked about Whiteboard Chat quite a few times. You can share the board that everybody gets their own copy, and what the students, so for example, I'm going to use Pam and Nicole because they're here. Pam could be working her problems on her board, and Nicole could be working her problems on her board. I, as the teacher, can be monitoring that, but that Pam and Nicole are not messing up each other's boards. So that's definitely a great way to level up. You can also add in PDFs, so you don't have to convert anything. You can upload a PDF and turn it into an interactive. But there's so much functionality. If you're a math teacher, they've added in formulas and all these cool things. They've added a list. Right now, there's over 100 features to Whiteboard Chat, so you need to check it out if you haven't already done so. I did a video a while ago when they first released it, and it had some cool features then. I got to update. I'm going to make a new tutorial with all of the new added features. So definitely check that out. If you're loving Jamboard, you're really going to love that. I see here, this is probably Flipgrid. You have students do introductions and also reflections on what they've learned. Flipgrid's such great practice for students to get comfortable with sharing. I think that's awesome. We set up at my school back in the real world, one of my schools, we set up a green screen Flipgrid studio. Students could come in and do a little app smashing. They could record using the green screen, do some editing in iMovie, and then upload their final product to Flipgrid, which is a lot of fun. Let's see. Let's see here. Shelly, great question. Tell me why I should use Google Keep. Still haven't figured it out. Okay. I love this. This is awesome. Okay. Google Keep is also another one of those tools that I use absolutely every day. And what's great about Google Keep here is I've got a whole tutorial I did on this. I'm going to drop the link to this page right here, but I'm going to highlight and I'm going to convince you, Shelly, why you want to use Google Keep. I think I can convince you. All right, let's see. All right, so here is a Google Keep. Let's see here. Here is a Google Keep note to explain why you want to use Google Keep. How's that sound? So what's great about Google Keep, it is web-based, as well as a mobile app, as well as an extension. And you might be like, why would you need all of the things? I see that Pam says she only uses Google Keep for your to-do list and you're not very consistent. Okay. I'm going to show you, let's see here. I'm going to go actually into my Keep here. Let me talk you through it and then I'm going to show you some of the magical things. So you can set reminders. You can do time reminders. So definitely a to-do list. You can share your notes, which is great for you if you're collaborating with a partner or a team. So you can make your to-do list and share it out. You can share it with students. It's a great way if you have special ed students that need that extra support. You can give them a Google Keep note to track things that they need to do because it has check boxes. You can share it with your administrators to say, by the way, these are the things we're working on in our PLC coming up. You can share Keep notes with your parents. So if you're trying to share specific information about a particular student, you can share it with them because you can share it outside of your domain, which is pretty cool. You can change the note color, so that means you can have them mean different things. I have one of my particular schools that actually is color coded, so they have a red class, a green class, a yellow class, and so forth. You can color code your notes based on your class. That's kind of cool. Or you can have them mean certain things like action items. Red, got to do this now. Blue, down the road. Or you can be like me and I just like colors, and so I just color code them based on the images that I include. You can add pictures. So I'm gonna admit and age myself. How about those folks that you take pictures and they're in your phone and you're scrolling through and you're like, why did I take a picture of that? But you took the picture to remind you of something that you needed to do or something to buy or things like that. So what's great is you can add pictures in and put a note next to it to explain why you took that picture. You can add labels to them so you can actually sort them by classes, tasks, or things like that. You can add in drawings. So the drawing piece right here is that you can use the mobile app and do the touch device, iPhone or Android, to annotate and draw. You can also, once you've gotten your notes coming together, you can copy all of that into Google Docs. So you can use it as a start piece right there. And then the other amazing thing is that if you use it via the app, you can actually use voice notes. So you can audio record notes. So this is also a great tool for your students, is that they can record memos and then be able to have it translate, because it does one thing. It records the audio, so it has that voice memo, and it translates it to text immediately. And you can copy and paste that and use it elsewhere. You can pin important notes so that they live up at the top. You can also use that touch annotation. The other magical thing that's kind of cool is you can take a picture of an image and say, pull that text out, and it would do it auto-magically. It's awesome. The other cool thing is you can set location services on, which what's cool about that is when we get back to the real world, is that you can say, like, you had to go to the grocery store and pick up something, you can put location services on. So when you drive by Publix or your local grocery store, it will ping you and say, oh, you're by Publix. Don't forget, you're supposed to get milk or whatever it was you were going to get. So that's cool. You can toggle in Google Keep into multiple notes. So I actually have notes that are, I'm going to hop over here. Don't laugh. I track my shirts. I track my ideas for YouTube videos. I keep up with my Bitmojis. And I'm going to hop over here real quick to my other one and show you how I use the pins to keep them organized. So I track my trainings, and as I report them in, I can track them off. So I talked to you about how my tech tips, how I put it together. I made a Google Keep note to track all of the steps, all the things I have to do. I got to create my tech tip. I've got to update it in the spreadsheet because I do that. I've got to put it in my app. I got to upload it to my website. Like, there's all these steps, schedule it, tweet it, all that good stuff. And what's great is I can check off the boxes, and when you're done, then you can say uncheck. So basically it's a reusable checklist. As you can see here, I keep and I've shared this right here is one I started in my tech tips Google Keep, and I shared it with my work one, and therefore I can track it, and it lives in both. So that's great. So you can share notes between your accounts and have access to them. As you can see, I keep up with all sorts of different things in Google Keep. So pinning is magical. I see here, Pam says those check boxes make you happy when you can check them off. Yes. Does anyone do this besides me? Does anyone accomplish a task and it wasn't on the list, and so you'll write it on the list so that you can check it off? Let me know. Is it just me? Let's see here. I love using Google Keep all the time. I like pinning some of my more important notes at the top. Yes, that pinning piece is great, and you can shuffle them. You can archive notes as well. Yes, pinning is magical. Really, Pam, did you call me out? She's seeing a therapist for her addiction to t-shirts. No, I'm not. I'm good with it. Today is t-shirt 139. For those that don't know or follow me on social media and you stumbled across this, yes, I happen to wear a different t-shirt every day of the work week, highlighting on whatever the day is. So for example, today is Random Acts of Kindness Day, and so today's shirt says love one another. How appropriate is that? So I want to say that I really appreciated that question there. I think that was great, Kelly. Shelly, what did you let me know? Are you feeling it? Are you maybe a little more interested in trying out Keep? I'm just checking. You let me know. Did I maybe get you to jump on the Keep bandwagon? All right. Watching for those questions in the chat, and seeing who else has any questions. How are we feeling about Keep, though? Keep is definitely one of my favorite things. All right, so another question I get asked a lot is actually about leveling up with Zoom. So we're going to try this here and see if the Zoom window is going to pop up for me. So we're going to go over here and see if it's going to cooperate. All right, so I'm going to go in here and go to my settings. Give me a second here. Hopping back over here. Pulling up all the good stuff here. So I wanted to show something in I'm going to pretend to go live here with a Zoom. And I just want to see if I can share my screen here. And there we go. Magic. All right, so I've opened up Zoom, and I wanted to show you all a couple of things that people might not have noticed. If you're using Zoom, you might not have realized that they have released these options. So here I'm in my Zoom, and I want to go to the share screen right here. And there's some really, really cool stuff that has been added. And you're seeing all this extra stuff because I've got some behind the scenes things going on here. So in here, you've got pick your screens. I'm wondering how many people are using their iPhone to either connect with a cord, or you can do it wirelessly via AirPlay. You can connect your phone and use it as a second camera. That's really cool. And they've got a built-in whiteboard. So those have been there for a while, but I wanted to highlight some things that have just been released recently. One of the cool things that I did a video on this a while ago about using the share a portion of your screen, because what it does is it lets you drag around exactly what you want to show for your students to focus on. Because you can resize that, what it is, and all the way down to granular level of focus on this sentence that we're talking about. So that's a pretty cool feature. But the other two things that are pretty new and people haven't been using, and I'm just curious if you've tried it, is adding a PowerPoint as a virtual background. This is pretty cool. You can actually pull up a PowerPoint and have yourself inside the action. The benefit of doing that is the fact that it lets you be front and center on the screen for students to tune in. It's a really cool option. The other thing that they've added that I think is going to add some functionality, and I wanted to point it out because I've got we're using Zoom, and I'm curious if you're using Zoom or Teams or what you're using in your district, but they've added this video feature which allows you to share a video natively from your device, which means that it's going to have better playability. And because that's been the struggle for a lot of teachers, is they're trying to share a video via Zoom and it's stuttering and sputtering and you can't hear and all of that. So that's kind of cool. The other really cool thing that I wanted to point out, and I've got a quick tutorial on this, is using a second camera. If you connect a second camera inside of Zoom, you can actually then toggle between maybe your front-facing camera, like this, or it could be a side view and you can have multiple things up, which is kind of cool. So I wanted to point that out. It's kind of cool that using Zoom second camera option over there. So definitely wanted to share that out as a quick little tip I've been sharing with the teachers that I'm working with. So watching right here, let's see here. Shelly says, you will try it. So you're going to give Keep a little bit of love. Hopefully that means, let's hope. Give it a try. Let me know. And let's see here. My friend Lisa says, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only person that wore a different shirt every day of the school year. Are we twins, Lisa? And we have not met before and I didn't know this. So you also do not duplicate any shirts. I do not wear the same shirt twice and I count them. I'm a little crazy. I set the goal a few years ago. I came back from ISTE with like 20 new t-shirts and I realized I had a problem. And decided I would set a goal of wearing a different shirt each day to see how long I would go before I ran out of shirts. And I never ran out of shirts. I didn't even get through all of them. So I'm hoping, and I've even ordered a few more, but it's just fun. As a former ELA teacher, I would wear shirts that were related to what I was talking about. I've got tons of Shakespeare shirts, historical relevant shirts. Like I had a lot of stuff for Black History Month. I've got a lot of stuff for Women's History Month. So stay tuned if you're interested in t-shirts. Definitely, tune in for that because it's kind of cool. All right. So I'm watching the chat here to see if there's any other burning questions that are coming up here. And, I see here, Delaney says, I just started a Bitmoji classroom and would love to know more about all of your Bitmojis that you use. So I am a little obsessed. My Genmoji leads a very exciting life. As you can see, she's, wait, over there. There she is. She leads a very exciting life, and you include the Bitmoji in just, so I like to throw in, hacks like face swapping and customizing things with my Bitmoji. So let me show you here. I've got a whole page with all sorts of quick tutorials. Some are a little bit longer. I'm going to drop this in the chat here. So Delina, you can check this out and maybe get some inspiration for how you can use Bitmoji with your kiddos or whoever you're working with. I just love coming up with creative ways. We are twins. You have done the same thing, and you're also an ELA teacher. I'm giving you a virtual high five, Lisa. That is fantastic. That has made my day, and now I know I'm not alone in my eccentric ways. That is fantastic. So the question I'll ask you, that everyone always asks me: so how many closets do you have for all the T-shirts? I'm just curious. Let's see here. Great question. I've got here. Do you know if originality reports in Google Classroom can check student submissions against other student submissions and how you can do that? Ooh, that's a good question. So I know you can do originality reports and you can check for those that aren't familiar, originality reports in Google Classroom allow you to check to see if it's original. The students just didn't go and Google it and copy and paste it and turn it in as their assignment. So originality reports checks to see, is it original work? That is a fantastic question. I'm going to admit I don't know on the part about checking against each other's. I do know that depending on the version of Google you have, so like teachers get 5 free checks on an assignment, or 5 free checks, per assignment in a Google Classroom. So like if you have 5 different assignments, essay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your first semester class, you can run originality reports on each of those 5 assignments one time. Then you create a new classroom for second semester, you get 5 new checks under the free version. If you have enterprise, you have unlimited, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm just curious. That's a tricky one to see who's using whose. But you could also, it's not an originality thing, but you could go into version history to see who has logged into that document, and you can see if that person you're suspecting might have copied and pasted, and see if they've logged into that other document and it was an independent task. Just curious. Awesome. Thank you for that question. Asking, here we got, making asynchronous PD for teachers. What program do you use to create your tutorial videos and or edit them? Thank you, KB, for that question. I have been using a couple of different things. I use Camtasia, which is a paid tool because it has a lot of functionality and I can add in some bells and whistles, but that I'd already paid for it, so I use that one. But I'm going to show you my new favorite one that I did a quick tutorial on this one recently because I'm all about what is my favorite price, which is freemium. I mean, not freemium, but free 99. I heard someone say that, free 99. So let me show you this right here. This is Recordcast. Recordcast is like Screencastify and an editor in one. So what's great about it is that you can record your screen, you can record a webcam, you can record your webcam and the screen simultaneously, and for free you can record up to 30 minutes and you can have 8 simultaneous projects. So when you're done with it, you can export it and save that file somewhere else, but it's also got an editor and it's super cool. So I'm going to log in here real quick to mine and show you what I did. So I actually did a couple of my videos recently exclusively with my let me think here, exclusively with Recordcast. So I did my tutorial with it, recorded it and edited it, and they added in these elements. You can add in functionality similar to what's in Camtasia. Pretty cool. And you can log in with your Google account, and of course the internet's on the struggle bus. It's thinking, it's logging in, it's trying. Bear with me. But it is super cool. I would check that out. If you're just getting into recording and editing, try Recordcast. If you want to do some next level editing, Camtasia is paid. My other one that I really like that I've been doing a lot of stuff with is DaVinci Resolve. I'm learning how to use that, and DaVinci Resolve is very similar to Adobe Premiere, but it is free, completely free. So back to the Bitmoji. Stacy says, take Jen. There's a Bitmoji for that class. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, I've actually got a couple recordings of that under my YouTube channel. If you want to step by step, I go from basic ideas to leveling up and how to app smash with Bitmoji. Thanks for that shout out for that one. You are so very welcome. Again, thanks for the question. Let's see here. I'm in Recordcast and I can see I've got my demo right here, but I can create a recording, or I can create a video, and I can actually upload video I've shot somewhere else to create with Recordcast. So definitely going to give you that option right there. Let's see. Lisa says, I've had to take pictures of my closet to show to my students. They freak out. My shirts are also separated by colors and sleeve length. I'm happy to not know that I'm by myself. Not by myself. Yes. Yes, organizing by color. Love that. And not by sleeve length, because it's all short sleeve, and then I do like the overshirt that has to coordinate with it. So that's a whole level of coordination. But I have my favorites can be reworn, and then organized. This year I organized by like topic, like, and by month I would be wearing them. Yeah, a whole world of crazy there. Oh my goodness. Yes, Pinabi, I've found a fellow t-shirt fiend. I love it. All right, I'm looking to see if there's any other burning questions right now. Thank you all so much for those of you that have been hanging out right now. I got a great question here, Mr. R. Are you using OBS Virtual Camera? Yes, I am. Thank you so much for that question. So I am using OBS Virtual Camera, which lets me do fun things like this. I can go right here and I can change. I have set this up so I can change to different scenes, like magic, with a touch of a button. It's super cool. It's a lot of fun. I'm using an app also called Touch Portal for those that are like, what, this streaming thing, this is kind of cool. So I have this app, all right, it's thinking about it, on my iPad that lets me, when I touch any of these buttons, I programmed it so that I can switch it. So I'm like, all right, I want to go to the split screen. There it is, with a touch of a button, which is super cool. And I'm streaming through StreamYard, which has a lot of that functionality where I can switch back and forth to things. But this allows me to set up some cool stuff right here. And so there's the answer to the question about how am I putting the questions up. I'm doing that via StreamYard. So thank you so much for that question. But it's super cool because I can toggle back and forth and have different scenes. And as we can see, my co-star, one of my fur children, decided to come back for the show. They were here earlier as I was getting ready, and they were like, oh, we're out of here because you're going to be talking to people on the computer. So I have a quick tutorial on how to use OBS as a virtual camera with Touch Portal on my YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out if you are interested. So I'm looking to see if there's any other burning questions. If not, I'm going to kind of wrap this up here. I've had a blast. I've loved that we had some great questions that were asked. Hopefully enjoyed learning a little bit about the behind the scenes of how I create my Tech Tips 411, why you would choose Jamboard, slides, or drawings for an activity with your students, and then we did a little bit of a dive into Google Keep to see if that's something you might want to use as well. I've really had a blast sharing with you. So if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you'll be notified for future Just Ask Jen Live episodes. I'm trying to do these at least once a month. If you found this beneficial, let me know in the chat. And if you happen to be watching from the future, thank you so much for tuning in and checking it out, because I really do appreciate you tuning in and checking this out. I've also been sharing, I'm trying to share a video per week. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified when I release those new videos. So I really, really appreciate everyone's time. This has been a blast. I just want to say thank you so much. If you'd like, you can check out more resources at techtips411.com. You can sign up for my Tech Tips email. If you're on Facebook, we can connect there. And if you're on Twitter, hit me up for... I'd love to connect at APSIT Jen. That would be awesome right there. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nicole, for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I appreciate everyone that has tuned in to check out what we've been talking about. Thank you all so much. You are rock stars. For those of you that are handling face-to-face or virtual or a little bit of both, just hang in there, and hopefully things are going to get a little bit more back to normal soon. So thank you guys so much for watching.